Good morning, good morning, good morning. So hopefully today is my last day to study for the Network Plus. We'll find out later today how I do. I thought I would make a video about the total tester and how awesome it is. And I'll go through a practice exam real quick so you can customize your exam. You can put it in practice mode and get hints and help, or you can do real exam mode and simulate the real thing. So I am going to customize the test. I'm not going to do the whole 90 full exam. Just going to give you guys a sample. So let's do 20 questions today. My face is down here. I think I'll keep it. I can minimize it though. Anyway, okay, so we got 20 questions. We're customizing the test. I'm not going to touch the time. I'm not going to touch the objectives. Can even do it by chapter. That's pretty cool. Didn't do it by chapter. I've done it by objectives. Um, so let's do the exam mode. Let's do the real thing. Before I start this practice test, I just want you to know that I've been studying quite a bit from here. So I've probably seen these questions before. And yeah, let's see if I remember them, or at least remember the concepts and the thinking that gets me the correct answer, which is really why they do this. So it's pretty cool. Okay, let's get started. Yep, 20 questions, assistance is off. All right, let's go. Okay, I'm going to read the question. Make sure you read the question fully when you take your exams. Which device made popular by Amazon can store items and be controlled over a wired or wireless network? I think this one is the save because like store items be controlled. Controlled over a wireless network would mean it's smart, and all of these have smart in it. Um, Store items, I just would think it's a safe or a locker. Oh, I'm gonna go with locker. I think I remember this question. Smart lockers are a way that you can like give things that a company needs, for example, like backup tapes or maybe hardware, and you can put it in a locker and use your phone to open it later. Okay, I won't go into too much detail. We will review the answers of each question after finishing. Okay, number two. You can see what question we're on up here, 2 of 20. Okay, what kind of authentication method uses two keys to verify a sender's identity, a public and a private? Um, mm, 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 PKI jumps out at me. Uh, Public key infrastructure, I believe that is. I'm gonna flag that one because I can't quite remember, but I believe it's public key infrastructure or something like that. Okay, next. After capturing some packets with a network sniffer, a technician sees the following information. So we have UDP port 68. Does anyone remember what port 68 is? The port 67. I believe that's DHCP. DNS is 53. FTP would be 2021. Um, Network Management Protocol. No, what is that one? It's like 161 or 162 or something. So yeah, I remember that's DHCP just based off the port number. And also it's UDP. DHCP is not TCP based. It doesn't care who you are. If you send a request, it'll reply. Okay, next. You are a network admin looking to implement security using a CIA model. Okay, if you have your pen and your paper, which you will have on the exam, I'm just going to jump on this tangent here. So CIA. These are more security concepts, but you'll have to know some security concepts for the Network Plus. Should just be like typing this out, man. Confidentiality is one of the C's. I just remember this triangle, or it's called the triad, CIA triad. That's from the Security Plus exam. years and years and years ago that I studied. File integrity, well, nothing has changed in terms of like what the file has or its hashes. Confidentiality is only the person who sees it gets to see it. Accountability. So if anything's changed, who has access to what and should they be doing that, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that's our model. You want to ensure that all data saved to your servers remains consistent from source to destination. Um, stay consistent, not change. That makes me think more of integrity. So I'm going to go with that one. So let's talk about integrity for a second. Like I was saying, that data hasn't been changed or altered. Usually you can use like hash and different ways to verify that it is really the file that you're supposed to receive. Okay. Which of the following hardware problems could prevent a node from attaching to a switch? So a node could be any kind of device, computer, printer, whatever. What would prevent it from attaching to a switch? Mismatched standards. So that jumps out at me correctly because a lot of duplex issues I see or mismatched speeds. So I'm gonna select that one. That seems good. Wi-Fi. Does this have anything to do with Wi-Fi or connecting to a switch? I mean, I guess we could connect to a switch over Wi-Fi. It doesn't mention a bridge or wireless access point or anything. Incorrect termination. Yeah, okay. So if you crimp a cable and the wirings are mismatched, it's not going to work. So that jumps out at me too. Misconfigured DHCP server. DHCP server. Well, here it's talking about switch. Could a switch serve as a DHCP server? Well, router's more likely. I guess it could happen if you have like a layer 3 switch, but then it gets complicated. More router. Okay, these two jump out at me. I don't even think I've seen that question, so that's pretty cool. Okay, so we have one, two, three, four, five, six different fields with either a number or a letter. I know exactly that is access control or media access control, a MAC address. That's your hardware address that your network interface has. And they use that at layer 2 to communicate. Has nothing to do with IP addresses. So A is totally wrong. A frame would be a type of packet or what it's sending to, like source destination, MAC address, or is it IP? Okay, EU64 has to do with IPv6 and MAC addresses, if I remember correctly. Okay, next. Which of the following is a benefit of fault tolerance? Okay, what is fault tolerance? Fault is when something goes wrong or it goes down, offline, powers off, something breaks, right? Tolerance means that even if it breaks, it continues to work. Okay, efficient use of network bandwidth. Nothing to do with bandwidth or speed. Ability to restore data after a disk crash. Well, maybe. Okay, ability to distribute CPU across multiple servers and elimination of a single point of failure. Yeah, that seems good too. Um, so if something would totally bring down the network, for example, maybe your router needs two sources of power, one to a battery backup, one to live. Same thing with the server or anything that's critical on a network. So you don't want any points of failure. If something breaks or goes off, you want it to continue to work. So I feel better about D. Okay, question number 8. Which term describes the rate at which usable information bits are delivered from one node to destination? Could put baud rate, bit rate, throughput. Throughput jumps out at me. Throughput is bandwidth. It's how fast you can send and receive. The other ones have nothing to do with the rate of data moving on a network. Bit rate um, is a rating of bit. I don't even know if that's a word. Baud rate, I know as the speed of the analog controller over a serial cable, like a DB9 or RS-232. Good put. I have no idea what that is. Okay, next. A customer with a SOHO requires fast, secure, cost-effective access to the internet. Which of the following would be the most appropriate solution? Optical carrier line 3 with built-in firewall. Cost-effective, secure, fast. Okay, so we gotta really think here. This is the real-world question. Companies don't want to spend too much money, but they want to get a good deal at the same time. Maybe that one, DSL, that's so out of date. DS3 line. Well, all these have firewalls. Okay. Um, I'm gonna say the optical carrier. You know, optical fiber is modern, pretty secure. Um, well, dial-up is not fast. DSL is not that fast. So I'm gonna go with these two. Any an administrator attempts to connect a laptop to a server with the length of Cat5 cable that has RJ45 connectors on each end. Okay, so we have a Cat5 cable, and we're connecting a laptop to a server. She verified the IP settings are correct, but two computers still cannot connect. Which of the following would most likely fix the connectivity problem? So we don't know exactly what's wrong. We have a laptop, we have a server, and a Cat5 that's crimped for RJ45. Um, IP level is fine. So when we're talking about layer 3, IP is correct. We don't need to think about network settings, DHCP, DNS. Nope. We're going to go down a layer. Might as well jump over to our notepad here and go over the OSI layers. All people seem to need data process. Okay, this is worth the tangent, I promise. If you don't know the OSI layers, well, this is a good little review. This came from Professor Messer. Those are 7 layers. Okay. Um, Physical, data link, network, transport, session, presentation, and then application. So if you remember this, you'll be fine. So we know that the network layer or layer 3, we have IP addresses and all that. That seems to be okay. So layer 3, out the window. IP addresses are all right. Um, so this is good, but because something here is not working, so these layers aren't going to work too. Okay, so it's got to be layer 1 or layer 2. So my best guess here is maybe the cables have a problem. K wiring are swapped. Adjust the duplex mode on the server's link. Um, it doesn't talk about other computers are able to use it or not. Use the DB9 port. No, DB9 is a serial cable that you would connect to maybe a firewall or router. So I'm eliminating that. C is not correct. D, configure your laptop or receive DHCP from the server rather than manually setting one. You can manually set whatever you want. You can make it automatic. It really doesn't matter because the IP settings are correct. So now I eliminated C, I eliminated D. Um, we just don't know much about the server, right? Okay, I'm gonna go with that with it's a wiring issue. I feel like there's not enough information to really guess which one's correct because we don't know about other computers on the network, just this one. So I'm just gonna think maybe it's just this one. Maybe it's just this one cable. If the duplex mode affected everyone, then nobody would be able to use it. I feel a little bit better about A. Okay, I don't want to waste too much time. Moving on. Which of the following is an example of an IPv4 address? Okay, do you remember IPv4? IPv4 has octets and four sets. That's why we call it four. So it'll be like this is an octet, this is an octet, this is an octet, this is an octet. Um, that would be a valid IPv4 address. Maybe if you're at home, um, you might have a class C like that. I think my 5G internet here, yeah, I'm a 12.1. So that's my IPv4 address. Um, okay, I have no idea why I have two addresses. There's no gateway here. What the heck? Okay, sorry, I'm just going off real tangent. What is this adapter? Oh, it's for my VM. Okay. I'm a little funny today. It's early in the morning. Okay, so which of these are valid? Well, that's IPv6 address. That's way too long. This could be good. Is this one good? That's a MAC address. So it's either C or D. Oh, what are the address ranges that we can use? I think, man, I feel like a fool here. I have a feeling 167 is wrong, but I'm gonna flag that. We're gonna go over the answer. Okay. Why is it important to implement employee training and corporate policies that reinforce the confidential nature of company data? Employee training, so people working in the work environment, and then policies like rules they have to follow, confidential nature. So you want your data to be confidential. You don't want people to see it who shouldn't have access to it. Um, this is more about people, right? And what they do with data. Packet sniffing, looking at packets on the network, distributed denial of service, that's like a cyber attack, social engineering, making people do things and kind of influencing them, or a Smurf attack, which is like sort of a ping attack. Okay, some security things here. That's more about people and making them do things and tricking them. Social engineering. In which document would you expect to find a privacy consent or monitoring section? Um, Memorandum of understanding is like informal contract. Statement of work is what you plan to do. Service level agreement is when and how you work with the client. Acceptable use policy is what you're allowed to do using work devices and such. So I'm going to say privacy or consent to monitoring. That's probably using a work device. I'm going to say it's an AUP. You have been asked to inspect a computer that could be infected with spyware. What built-in utility can be used to show all current network connections? Um, I will go on a tangent for this one, just because I remember this command and I really liked it. Um, so I think it was minus B, or which one is for executables? I'm just gonna kind of do it and see if that's, I believe it was B. Please don't embarrass me. I can't even type net stat. No, I have to be an admin. That's right. So you have to be an admin to run this command. If you really did have spyware, this would really help you a lot. There we go. Boom. Okay. So it shows you each executable, what kind of connection is like IPv6, going to where is the connection established. Okay. We have acknowledgements. Is there any listening? Oh, last acknowledgement. This is about to close. Yeah. So you can see Zoom here is talking to my loopback adapter over port 5566. Pretty cool, huh? Slack, I do have Slack, but it's not even open. Dude, this is not even open and it has a connection. Isn't that fascinating? Okay, computers are cool. NetStat is the answer. A company has a network connection with an ISP. The computer is going to add a second network connection with a different internet service provider. In order to pass traffic between the two connections, which routing protocol is the best choice? Okay, so routing protocol. We want to think of big routes, right? Not smaller routes. I think of OSFP and ISIS, those are link states. So if you have a good link, like good speed or not too many hops, it'll consider that over other connections, RIP or RIP table routing information protocol. That's really old. We don't really use that. It's based on hops. It's not very efficient. It updates too frequently. So when I think of WAN, when I think of internet or public internet connections, I think of BGP, Border Gateway Protocol, and how all these internet connections connect to each other in order to deliver to your network. So I feel better about that one. Okay, next. VoIP is being implemented throughout a company, and Habib needs to ensure that voice traffic does not take all the bandwidth from data users. Which feature of a layer 3 switch will ensure that the VoIP traffic gets a sufficient amount of bandwidth, but not all available bandwidth? In the real world, well, let's talk about what the answer is before we talk about the real world. Okay, quality of service, VLAN, port security, or VTP. Um, the test is going to want you to use quality of service. They want to guarantee certain packets get a certain throughput or bandwidth in order to deliver. I think with the equipment we have today, with like everything is at least 1 gigabit or 10 gigabit per second, like it's quite fast. Quality of service is becoming less common. And I do see VLANs just being efficient enough to separate the VoIP traffic on the VLAN. Data flows fine. I've seen that too. So anyway, flag that. But I'm pretty sure Network Plus wants you to use QoS, quality of service. Moving on. Which device is a rack-mounted set of outlets for devices and connects to a UPS? Um, okay, if you've been around a rack, I just did this week. I had to go on site to troubleshoot a UPS. Okay, this is what they're talking about. When you're on a rack and you need to connect devices, it'll look something like that. It'll go up and down against the U's here on the rack. Um, so that's just how racks look and how you will power your devices. Yeah, something like that is more common. Yeah, I have seen that too, but I do see it on the side more. Hey, that's what it's talking about, and we need to use a PDU, power distribution unit, that's attached to the rack. Okay, network technician John Watson needs to check if the domain name resolution system is functioning properly. Which of the following software tools would he need to accomplish this? Um, okay, so think of DNS, domain name resolution. So namespace lookup. It's cool that we have a command prompt and we can just do it right now. So does YouTube resolve to any sort of name? Um, so we got a low level answer from some sort of DNS server that's non-authoritative, is not the original. So will this IP address take me to youtube.com? No, it didn't. It just went to Google. So that's kind of weird. I just want to show you a good example. Everyone likes the messer, right? Ah, I really want to do it. Okay, let's do yahoo.com. I guess I spelled that wrong. Wow, Yahoo has a ton of IPs. Look at that. And I think it went to root DNS too. Well, that's a great example. Oh no, it says non-authoritative. Okay, sorry. Okay, it did go to Yahoo. So yeah, NSLOOKUP will give you IP address of a domain. I'm supposed to choose two answers. Okay, and Linux users will know this one. DIG or domain information gatherer. I'm not on a Linux system. So if you like Linux and you want me to use Linux, I can. Um, let's get like an output. Okay, dig geeks for geeks.org, and it'll give you a bunch of information. Here's an A record, the query time, the server, the port, 53 is DNS. So that already lets you know DNS, domain name resolution, domain name system. Okay, moving on. Henry set up email accounts for his users. Which of the following answers could be a protocol that his email programs use in order to download messages from email servers? So download, download, download. Very specific, isn't it? Okay, he didn't say about sending or uploading, just downloading. Um, yeah, it is meant to be a tricky question. So two of these have something to do with mail. These two do not. So let's eliminate simple network management protocol and hypertext transfer protocol. So B and D out the window. Okay, POP or Post Office Protocol 3 is a very old protocol that just lets you download mail. SMTP lets you download and send mail, which is a bit better technology. It can synchronize, has more features, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm going to go with POP3 because it just said download. That was very specific. Tricky question. Which protocol is used with the ping command? Um, I know that ping needs echoes or it needs a message protocol to talk to it and give it an output. So that would be Internet Control Message Protocol. Yahoo is the target today. So when you get a reply like that, yeah, it's called an echo or a control message. It talks to you and lets you know that the connection is successful. Okay, now we're going to end the exam. We're going to go over the answers. So stay there, don't run away. And I did okay, but I missed some. So I'm feeling all right about this exam coming up. Let's go over the answers. Maybe we'll learn something here. Okay, smart locker. Yeah, lockers are more common in the workplace, especially like warehouses and such. Safe is more of a bank. So, yeah. All right, next, moving on. Public key infrastructure. I knew that jumped out at me, but I couldn't quite explain it. Oh, don't you hate that when you know a concept, but you don't know quite enough to continue and ramble on? I just remember this has key sharing and verifying identity. CHAP is authentication. EAP is the authentication. Kerberos is authentication. So it's a bit different. Okay, DHCP. If you know port 68, 67, you know it's DHCP. So know your ports. Moving on. Integrity. So yeah, you want your data to remain consistent or remain the same from the source. So you need integrity. Remember CIA triad that we looked at, the triangle? Okay, mismatched standards, incorrect information. Yeah, so those would prevent a node from attaching. So you're going to see speed mismatch in the exam or duplex settings that are not correct. And then, yeah, wiring, incorrect wiring, things will just not work. Yep, that is a MAC address, media access control. It looks very different from an IP4 or IPv6 address. Pretty easy. Okay, which of the following benefit a fault tolerance? So you don't want any faults in your network. You don't want any faults in your servers, essentially. So you have to get rid of single points of failure. Ooh, I missed one here. So I'm going to get my pencil and my paper. Whenever I miss a question or I need to learn something new, I always write it down. What did I learn today? I put throughput, usable bits of information. Good put discounts all protocol overhead. Oh my goodness. It's not a good sign that I'm learning something new, right? Well, there's no pictures here. I must have skipped over this. This is probably something to do with like routing or how packets get delivered. Um, okay, the way it transports. Uh, Automatic repeat request, packet dropping. Okay, it's just about delivery of packets and such. I'm gonna write that down. Gonna have to study that more. Okay, next. So that's like 5 points or 5% I missed there. I probably missed one more. Whoa, what? We're not using optical carrier. Okay, cable modems are both reasonably priced to DS3 or OC3. So yeah, I mean, optical costs more, but it's more secure. So it's like, dude, what do you want? You want security? You want it to be cheap, but optical fiber is like way more secure, right? Um, but not cost effective. Okay, so this is a pretty tricky one, and I did miss a point here. So DSL is much cheaper, cable is much cheaper, optical fiber is going to be like double the price, especially for business accounts and such. Yeah, that's a tough one. I think I would miss something like that on the exam. You have to really, really know each one's benefits, pros and cons. So study each internet connection technology and know which one does what. Okay, moving on. Since it didn't mention that other people had a problem, it was just this one laptop. We know that IP or layer 3 is fine. So I just kind of pointed that maybe the cable has an issue because it doesn't really tell you a whole lot. If everyone was down or there were just tons and tons of issues on the network, then it might be a duplex mismatch. But it doesn't really mention that. Again, this is a very tricky question. You have to really think and reason and use your critical thinking, your problem solving. Which one is the best answers? These two are correct, really, but which one's the best? I hate that. Okay, next. Why is 167 not valid? I guess that's outside of the range of what you're allowed to use. You have to use 168. Okay, invalid IPv4 addresses. Which ones are ones that we cannot use? Is there a list anywhere? Is this simple? Boop, 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 boop. Anyway, I won't waste too much time. I thought a quick Google will give me answer. I think that's outside of the range that you can use. Okay, moving on. Yeah, social engineering, whenever you kind of make people do things that they're not supposed to do, it's social, right? Socializing, social media. People are social, they talk to each other and influence each other to do things that they're not supposed to do. So this was the best answer. The other three are like cyber attacks. Has nothing to do with people. KAUP, yeah, privacy monitoring, that would be an acceptable use policy. NetStat, we just went over NetStat with the argument dash B, which shows you all of your executables. That's a great way to find a bad process or a strange connection. That's one of the first things I do if I think there's something funny going on in the computer or if there's been a cyber attack or something like that. Yep. Border Gateway Protocol works with internet or ISP much better. What's the answer here? In the case, adding a different connection to your via different their routers need to be updated and reflect this new route. BGP is also used to communicate between autonomous systems. Um, these are all interior, inside your private LAN, essentially. Not going to work with ISPs. So that one jumped out at me. That was a very fair question because these three are obviously wrong, and this one is obviously correct. So if you know your stuff, pretty easy, not that tricky. Quality of service is how packets deliver over network. You will see this in routers and such, but VLAN is becoming more common with better throughput on our networks these days. PDU is on the rack. We saw that. You plug it in. NS lookup is the name resolution. We use that in Windows, and then in Linux, we use DIG or domain information gatherer. POP3 is just for downloading. Downloading. I will stress that so much because it doesn't talk about sending or uploading. and that's an older protocol, so I knew that one. ICMP, Information Control Management Protocol, for when you ping an address, you get a reply or you get an echo. This is pretty important when you're diagnosing, sorry, can't talk, when you're diagnosing network issues. Okay, that's it. So I feel pretty good. I need to do more PBQs, probably watch a few videos, but I'm getting ready here. I'm almost done. Hopefully you guys learned something new, or maybe you feel a bit more confident. Thanks for watching and good luck on your exams.